Hey guys, Jackie at Krusin the Sierra Farm. So today, well, I've shown a couple stories, I believe, two now, maybe only one, somewhat introducing our new addition to Krusin the Sierra Farm. For the past 2 years, I have had a goal and a dream to get a family milk cow. And so because we have about a third of our acre available that nothing's on except for our 2 rows of elderberries, my desire was to turn that into a space that we could have a dairy cow. So 2.5 years ago began my research, then began my search for which was going to be the best fit for me on my small homestead. And so I started researching all the different breeds, or at least the ones that I was semi-interested in. And of course, the Jersey was a huge one. Holsteins, absolutely no way that I could deal with that much milk. They produce a ton of milk, and their calves cannot keep up with them. And so it would, even if I were to calf share with that mama cow, and that means where you allow the calf to have free access to the mom 24/7, and you still are able to get milk from her as well. I tried to pay attention to things like space required, and a lot of the times that space required is on like grazing acres, like how many grazing acres could I put a Jersey on versus other breeds, etc., to where you're not having to constantly be feeding it hay except for in your winter seasons when your pastures aren't growing. Temperament was a big thing for me. I kind of joined a few different groups on social media and started doing research online with articles and university agriculture extension programs. And I just read and absorbed as much information as I possibly could. The most disease resistant, not necessarily resistant, but a more hardy breed that's not going to be susceptible to mastitis constantly because they're not getting their udders emptied appropriately, which can happen. And again, I'm all new to this. These are all things that I am learning along the way. So please have a little kindness for me in the comments if I say something that isn't quite right. I needed something that was going to be easy on the land, that I was really attracted to the Jersey. I love their coloring. Those big eyes got me. I knew that they wouldn't be easy on the land and maybe not as good keepers, and at least for my size. Now, that's the one thing that you guys have to keep remembering is I needed to search for my place here and what my goals were. I came across the Dexter breed, and it was really it grabbed hold of me, and I went down a rabbit hole or a cow hole with it and just researched as much as I possibly could on the breed, then joined that breed specific groups on social media. And the Dexter breed is a small heritage breed from Ireland, and they're a dual purpose breed, which means that they are raised for both beef and for milking. Actually, they're probably a tri-purpose. I believe they were used kind of like an oxen would be used. They're short, they're stout, and they don't get, like, if I had to guess, I'm gonna have to take my tape measure out and measure my girl, but anywhere from like 36 inches up to like 40, 46, 48 maybe at the tallest. I'm gonna have to research that again, but I know that they're much, much smaller than a standard or just a Jersey. I don't want to call them standard because there's a Jersey and then there's a mini Jersey. So anyway, my search began, and wow, the cost for a milking Dexter was beyond my reach. I would have to, well, let me back up a little bit and say that my husband really, really wasn't on board with this. And then the more that I probably picked at him a little too hard about it, but, what I ended up telling him, I'm like, hey, we just spent $1,200 on a yellow lab that isn't going to give us milk or meat. It'll give us lots of love over the years, that's for sure. But there's no product we're going to get out of it besides the love. And so, you know, this was my, like, if we spent a little bit more than we spent for the yellow lab, I could get after all of the research and the looking at all of the different American Dexter Cattle Association breeders and just like nationwide. And of course, every time you look there's like a milk cow market social media group you can belong to, and they seem to be all over the place except California. And then I found some in Nevada, and then I found some in California, and I started doing my research on those places, and none of them were really milking Dexter ranches, although, you know, a Dexter's going to provide milk, obviously. But there is definitely a difference in those that are doing it for beef, because they're not truly hands-on with those animals, right? Whereas a milking Dexter ranch is going to be hands-on. They're going to be wanting to be able to touch every area of that cow or bull. And the greatest thing is, that was the other thing that I learned, is the bulls have sweet dispositions, and Jerseys do not. I don't have the place to handle a bull on my property, but maybe at some point I would love to be able to do that and keep him somewhere else. But the plan for now is to just AI my girl, and with with good milking lines that I would love to, you know, better the breed. Although I'm not going to be able to do it at a level that a lot of the ranchers are, because I have such a small space, but I still want to do the breed right. I don't want to, you know, breed it with this, that, and the other bull just because I want to have milk, you know, or just because I want to have beef. I want to do right by her that way. And myself, I mean, I would love to, you know, put a bull calf in the freezer at some point, and then if she has a heifer calf, I would love to train that calf from the day she's born to become either my second milking cow or a fantastic milking cow that is trained, halter trained, trailer trained, and has good milking conformation with her udder and her teats. And so, you know, be able to either keep that for myself or provide for somebody else looking for a milk cow. Now, I'm going to tell you that it has been my experience in this journey for the past 2.5 years that it's kind of the same thing with the homesteading community. It has grown leaps and bounds, and there are so many people looking for milking cows. People are trying to be more self-sustainable, or, you know, just be able to provide for their families and their communities. So, anyway, now that we have that out of the way, on to the journey of picking up Coco. So Coco was born on the ranch that we got her from. She had only been trailered, from my understanding, she had only been trailered with a group of cows to a very quick location within their ranch. And so, you know, just a new location to probably graze. And it might be way far away from the current one that they were at, and maybe no alleyways to it or whatever it might be. But she had only been in a trailer, I think she said, once to be moved to a different location. And so when we arrived to their place, it was a 6.5 hour drive hauling a trailer. She was already boarded onto their stock trailer, and she was not happy. And oh, let me tell you, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little, oh boy, what did I just get myself into? And she was bellowing, not a happy bellow. Oh, yeah, for sure. Awesome. And come to find out, after everything that happened after we came home, she sent me a message on her way home, and she was like, you know, like, I have never seen that in any of our cattle before. I've never seen that kind of behavior. And you can't guess how a cow is going to react to any certain circumstance, right? And so, I mean, I didn't blame her. You know, she says, you know, I sat on it for a bit and then was like talking to my husband. And then my husband had to remind me that Coco's never, ever really been for a long period of time in a trailer. So here we've just removed her from her herd and all she's known, put her into a trailer, confined her, and traveled 6.5 hours with her. She was not happy. Traveled our 6.5 hours home. Back the trailer, we got home literally with minutes to spare before dark, and backed her up to the corral panels that we had put together. These were gifted to us. They were very old, very small diameter panels. Like I said, old. They're probably from the 80s. But we had pieced it all together. I was starting to grow pasture in it and everything was good. We had our water set up. We had her, I had actually jumped out and went and put hay in the feeder because she'd been all day, you know, 6.5 hours in the trailer, no water, no feed. And so I had her set up and ready to go. We opened the trailer and got her out, and she ran straight to the water and got some water, grabbed a mouthful of hay, but she was fit to be tied. You could tell she was very, very antsy. And we had, prior to her coming, we had set up kind of like a division in the corrals, or in the corral, so that we could keep her off of a portion of what I had planted for the pasture, because I knew that she was going to destroy the upper part in no time flat. And just stepping on it and whatever, just because it's not mature enough yet. So, boy, she got her head into one of those panels that was creating the divide, and literally just flung it over her head and went right through to the other side and to another panel, put her head through that one, flung that one, broke the welds off of it, and off she went running. And we do not have an exterior at the very back of our property where she is. It is not fenced off, so we have lots of open land around us, and we have 2 neighbors directly on either side of us. And we had a neighbor outside his backyard on the street over from us that saw the whole thing happen, and he hauled it over to us asking if we needed help. We said, obviously, yes, please come help us. And then my hands weren't working to try to call for more help. Nobody was answering. And again, it's getting dark. She moved over into our neighbor's backyard where his fence line is down between our properties. And he's got some good sturdy horse corrals back there. And so when he came out, the plan was we were going to try to get her moved into there. And so we had a couple more neighbors come try to help. And she just was fit to be tied. And she charged a couple of us. Pretty scary. She was definitely you know, digging at the ground like a bull would dig, and like had her head down like, and again, tried to charge multiple times at multiple of us out there. And at that point, gosh, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we had 7 of us out there trying to contain her in that space so that she didn't get loose into the desert. And unfortunately, those efforts failed, and she got past us, and it was dark at this point, and my heart broke. My heart had been pounding so hard this whole time, but my heart just literally broke, because I'm like, not only did it break for myself and for her, but it broke for the people that we just took her from. You know, the last thing I wanted was to have to contact them and say, we lost Coco. We have no idea where she went. I mean, I knew that that wasn't the case, because we have friends that are cowboys here, and my brother-in-law is a cowboy, and he's the one that ultimately ended up finding her for us. So just know that she was found. But you know, it's trying to get that help that during that time. And, you know, ended up calling my sister, and I was like, I don't know what to do. She's like, there's nothing you can do right now. You're going to have to wait until the morning. But unfortunately, there's brandings happening at all the ranches around the valley. And so all the cowboys were busy. So basically, we were told that help would come, but it wouldn't come until the afternoon when the brandings were done. So my husband and I tried to get some sleep that night, and that was kind of next to impossible. But we started to fade like around 12:30 in the morning. And just as we started to fade, somebody knocked on our door. And it was our next door neighbor who had the horse corrals out back. And after he found out that our cow was gone, he couldn't sleep. So he must have gotten in his vehicle and went looking. And as he did, I'm so thankful he did. I'm so thankful for great neighbors and good community. He found her out on the highway, which is not very far from us, but he found her out on the highway headed south. And that just, like, literally, my heart sunk. I was like, I lost her. She's going to get hit. I'm going to get sued. She's going to cause somebody else to die. You know, all of the things are just going through my brain. And I'm just, of course, streaming tears, and my mouth is just dry as a bone as I'm trying to figure out what to do. And so my husband's throwing on his clothes, and he's trying to get the truck and trailer out there. And I'm calling 911 because I want CHP to come help me. You know, at least put their lights on so that we can either get her into the trailer without her getting hit, but to warn motorists that, you know, I had my hazard lights on and they had their lights on. And anyway, we basically had a rodeo out in the middle of the highway at 12:30 in the morning. And oh my goodness, literally the California Highway Patrol and the county sheriff just did such a phenomenal job helping us. And we actually got her turned around a couple times and moved into, and this is one thing that just, it gripes me, but I'm putting it out there because I'm hoping that this moment here can help others with this situation, or make those that are out riding ATVs and motorcycles and side-by-sides and quads and all of those things are mindful of gates. When there's a sign on there that says, please keep gate closed at all times, there's a reason for that. It's because those are leased properties or leased land that cattle ranchers are using for their cows. They have to keep their cows in. And my cow got out to the highway because multiple gates were down. So, you know, obviously it's my fault we didn't have a sturdy enough corral, but everybody has to do their work and do their due diligence to, you know, be kind to those around them, and those that they might not think it's a big deal to leave the gate open because maybe they're going to be coming back through it in an hour, but that doesn't prevent a cow from going through it in the meantime. So anyway, oh, I have to back up and tell you, at 12:30 in the morning, I called my sister just in massive panic to say that she's on the highway. We don't know what to do. I'm calling the cops. to keep her from getting hit or hurting somebody else. And she was like, I'll have Norman get dressed and go see if you guys can get her off the highway. But by the time he got from his location, which is about 11 miles north of us, get himself dressed and his trailer hooked up and head to us, we had already got her corralled back into the field and got all of the entry and exit points of that area, all of the gates put back together. There was multiple open. So then off into the distance she went, and we couldn't see her anymore because it was dark. CHP and the county sheriff, they came to me and they're like, is there anything else we can help you with tonight? Oh man, I was so thankful for them. So thankful for them. I truly just didn't know how my husband and I were going to do it on our own. So yeah, so we got her pushed over, and then we had to come back home and try to sleep again till morning because we knew there was nothing we could do until the afternoon. So we get up in the morning. Neither one of us slept well at all, and got up in the morning. My husband had some work to do in the morning, and when he got back, he got in our Polaris and took our dog and took the pole line road, so electric pole line road that is in that field where she went missing, or where we got her back in. And our dog, he's just 1 year old now. He's a yellow lab, and we've already noticed that he's got a fantastic nose on him. And he had already smelled Coco. That's our cow's name. He had already smelled Coco when we had her here in the backyard. So after she went missing, I kind of let him go out there with me, and he smelled her, and was sniffing all around the corral area where she was. So he took her out, and they found her tracks from the night before. And his nose just, as soon as he smelled her, his nose went down to the ground, and he just worked. And so they cut her tracks, and then my brother-in-law reached out to my husband and said, hey, done at the branding, and so I'm headed your way. Meet me out where you last saw her. So they did, and my brother-in-law got his horse out of the trailer, got his 2 working dogs out of the trailer, and he says, well, it looks pretty much like they were like looking around, and he says, well, pretty much it looks like she's been out just grazing all night, and she's lost, and she's lonely, and she's confused, and she doesn't know where she's at. And he says, I'm going to go ahead and he points off in the distance and says, I'm going to go ahead and hit that patch of locust trees and go around those willows and make my way back and see what I can see. And my phone, I was back home, just panic, massive panic. And my phone rings, and he takes everything. I mean, not to get emotional about it again, but he tells me he's got her. He found her within like 30 to 40 minutes. And he's on his way back. I'm headed back to hurry up and get because he was still in the Polaris, to get the truck and the trailer, because he's either going to have to load her into his trailer and then load his horses into ours, or vice versa. And so when he got back home, of course, tears were streaming down my eyes, and he says, when he gets home, he says, that was unbelievable. That was unbelievable watching him. But, like my sister had told me, he says, if anyone can find her, it's Norman, and he'll find her real quick. Well, she actually said that she felt he would find her pretty quick, but sometimes it might take 2 or 3 days because they raise their own cattle and they graze these leased lands. And so this is nothing new to him. He's been cowboying his whole life. And this is nothing new for him to go find the cows. So we got there, and he had already, so other cowboys that had said that they would stop and help, They stopped and helped, and when they saw Norman, because they knew Norman, my brother-in-law, and so they stopped to help. And when we pulled up, man, my brother-in-law took one look at me and he's shaking his head saying, Jackie, this isn't going to be a milk cow. This is a mad cow, and you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. And the same thing came out of the friend, his wife, and his daughter, who have been cowboying their pretty much whole life. And my heart sunk, but at the same time, I had seen video of Coco at her original owner's ranch, and very calm disposition. She was apprehensive about taking treats because they tried to work with her prior to us coming to get her to see if they thought that she would be able to be worked into a milk cow. And she just didn't have the time to, she's got 2 little ones and a full-time job on top of it. And she just didn't have the energy and time to put into knowing one way or another. So, you know, we both made the deal of let's give it a shot and see if I can do that, because I'm home 24/7. I have the time to commit to her. There was something when I saw Coco for the first time, I just felt, and I know that some people are going to think this is ridiculous, but I just felt a connection with her. I was just like, I never met her, never saw her in person, just video and pictures, and read about her and the breeders, and there was just she spoke to me, just, I don't even know how to describe it, but I knew she was my future milk cow. And so she ended up going out to my brother-in-law and sister's house, and they had the containment to keep her in without a problem. And so I've been going out twice a day, and well, I'll tell you, the first day after that, after we dropped her off and got her settled in, came home, slept so much better that night. But of course, still, you know, thoughts are in my head going, is this gonna work? And the next morning, got up, had a cup of tea, and got in the car and headed to the highway. Got to the highway, and my phone rings, and it's my brother-in-law. He says, well, Jackie, he says, your cow is calm today. And I was so elated and happy to hear that. And I went out, and he met me down by where they've got her. At the end of that visit, again, he says, wow, Jackie, this is like 100% different cow than what I saw yesterday. And he says, this might work for you after all. And so today is, let's see, we got her on Saturday, and today is Thursday. So we picked her up on Saturday. Obviously, we didn't really get her until we got her from being lost on Sunday afternoon. And so it would be Monday morning, really, is the first time that I started going out, letting her get used to my voice and me being around, me feeding her. My brother-in-law ended up backing up his stock trailer so that we could basically desensitize her to a trailer. So we were feeding her inside the trailer, and the goal is every day we were going to feed her further and further and further up in that stock trailer till we got her to the very head of the stock trailer. We could lock the gate in behind her. She could still turn around if she wanted to. And we put her hay in there, her orchard grass in there, and then we also put her treat bucket in there with some alfalfa and black oil sunflower seeds. And so the goal was to try to get her training halter on her head and let her drag it around for a couple days. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so pretty much three mornings later, we actually had to put a roping rope around her neck and run it through the side of the stock trailer to be able to keep her head sturdy, because every time we tried to get the halter over her ears, she'd move her head, and then we're only working with like this much room, trying to, you know, maneuver And really, you don't want to get your hand stuck in there and have her lift up and you've broken your arm. So we found if he could keep her head still, so he tied her up to that. And then I was too short. Yes, my husband's gonna laugh at that. Honey, Norman had to do the halter because I was too short. I couldn't. Well, yeah, because once she got moved all the way up. So he tied her off with the rope and then took the halter from me because I literally just was not tall enough. I mean, think about it. She's already up in a stock trailer. So for me on the outside, without being able to stand up on anything right there, probably would have been a good idea to go get something to stand up on, and I could have done it. But I'm only 5'6", and so I wasn't getting a good enough reach to be able to get it over her ears. And then we actually ended up having, my brother-in-law was able to actually put his, put the part that goes around her ears back behind her head on first, and then slip the nose piece over. And she really didn't struggle at all. I was so tickled that it went as smoothly as it did. I did not anticipate that happening at all. And so that was wonderful. Then we ended up getting another piece of like a lead rope and tied that lead rope onto the end of her halter rope. And so she's just walking around dragging that. And if she steps on it, it will give pressure to where she knows, okay, I got to stop if I feel that pressure. So it's kind of almost emulating what would happen if it was in my hands and I wanted her to listen to me. So it got her used to the pressure. And then the great thing is after we opened, so when we opened up the gate for her to be able to go in and out as she pleased, she did just that. She wasn't worried or scared to go back in the trailer after being confined in that space to get the halter on. So that was wonderful. And then, yeah, she's just been, she's been fine. I took they have a whip with the actual whip part is cut off basically. So it's just a long stick kind of thing that's braided. And anyway, through the stock trailer, I touched her everywhere with it and she didn't flinch at all. I touched her back, her sides, her belly, her udder, her teats, her legs on both sides. I touched her chest and underneath in between her front legs. I touched her backside. I touched her tail head. I touched everywhere and she was good. She was good. But, I've got little clips that I can share with you on those moments. I'm hoping a lot of them are in a portrait mode, so it might change in this video. It might go from, you know, full size to then turn this way for you guys to be able to see it. I'm sorry about that, but I was getting those moments for my other social media that requires it to be upright. So I apologize. Unless I can get it to turn, I might be able to get it to turn and orient it differently. But anyway, we'll see. My beautiful girl is a super beautiful golden dun. And that was the color I was after. And she's so beautiful. Wait till you see her. Anyway, you know, if you've been following me already, you know that, like, I share the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to be transparent with people that follow me because there's always learning experiences that can happen by other people's mistakes or failures, but they're truly not failures unless you don't ever try at all. And I kind of want to end this video by saying this. I've never, ever, ever owned a cow. I've had a horse before. I've ridden other people's horses before. And, but I don't know a thing about training. But I've watched a bazillion videos on training wild cows. I've watched a ton of videos and talked to people in person, well, on social media, but through like voice messaging or texting, like what has been your experience, advice givers, you know. But what it comes down to is learning from experience. And everybody had to start somewhere, you know. Uh, Everybody wasn't just born knowing how to raise cattle. Except, of course, if your parent was already a rancher and had cattle, then yes, you grew up, but you still had to learn it. You didn't know it coming out of the womb. And so I do best when I am learning by hands-on. And I love animals, and I just am so excited for this journey. You know, back to my YouTube channel is, you know, I've shared unknowledgeable things that happened that resulted in deaths of an entire litter of rabbits. You know, fly strike on my chickens. I once protein poisoned my worms. No idea that that was even a thing, but I learned fast. You know, I don't make it all rainbows and unicorns. It's real. It's, I mean, I think it's the only way to be. And in all honesty, that is what attracted me to the ranchers initially, is that they were honest and forthright. And I love the fact that they are first generation ranchers and cattle owners. I think that that is fantastic. And I hope that this video helps you along, and the little clips of what I've been doing since the day that we got her secure will help somebody else. And not the same thing is always going to work for everybody else, but you got to find what works for you and listen to, you know, others' experiences. And so I hope that my experience has helped you, and maybe someday you'll become brave enough to own your own milk cow too. I'm so excited to make stuff. I have been rewarded by our neighbors 3 doors down that actually was gifted a Holstein cow, and she just calved maybe 2 months ago now, or less. I'm not really sure exactly when she calved, but they've gifted me with raw milk, and oh gosh, guys, the goodness that comes from that, and the difference between raw milk and store-bought milk is just incredible. All of the goodness is still in the milk, whereas the store-bought is ruined. And so all of the good beneficial stuff is gone from it. And so I'm stoked. I made a small little batch of butter with the cream line. Holsteins don't carry that much of a cream line, so that was one thing I was super excited with my Dexter, is that Dexter is comparable to a Jersey cream line. So I'm real excited about that. I'm real excited to see the color of the cream line, because depending on what their forage is and diet is, will create a real yellow butter versus the butter I made with the Holstein cream line is like pale white. So, but I love making all the things. I have an 11-month aged Parmesan I made from store-bought milk, and a cheddar cheese that reminds me of the old sharp Longhorn cheddar cheese that you could buy in a block in the store. Super good. And that's the same age, 11 months. It's almost gone. And let's see, I've made yogurt, I've made mozzarella, I've made sour cream is amazing. Homemade sour cream is amazing. But my goal is to make everything, and nothing goes to waste. So the whey will either go to making something else. I've made caramel sauce with the whey. Whoa, that's real good. And then, you know, it can be fed to your other livestock. It could be fed to your chickens and ducks and turkeys and pigs. Pigs will love you if you give them the whey or the milk, if you're overloaded with milk. Oh, one thing that I wanted to go back and talk about it really quick before I say goodbye. This should have been at the very beginning of the video, and I might have to actually move it to that first part of the video. So Holsteins, not calf sharing, they will provide like astronomical amount of milk once they're into their lactations, maybe like the second or third lactation or more, they're going to increase and become crazy. We're talking like anywhere from 13 to 18 gallons of milk a day. I can't keep up with that. Jerseys was anywhere from like 6 to 9, I think I was reading. But Dexters are only between 1 and 3 gallons a day. And that's perfect for me, because I'll be calf sharing. So in all reality, we might be sharing half and half. So maybe the calf will get 1.5 gallons a day and I'll get 1.5 gallons a day. And the great thing about Dexter's, because of that, like for instance, the rancher that I got Coco from, her milking cow that she hasn't milked it all year this year. She milked it last year, but there was no problem with the calf keeping up with her mama's milk, and then she didn't really have to worry too much about mastitis because of that. Now with the other breeds that create so much more milk, then you stand that chance of getting mastitis, because there's no way one calf is going to be able to drink all that milk, and then if they try, they're going to end up getting scours, which is diarrhea in cows. So again, the Dexter was a perfect choice for me. With all of the research that I had done, it was a way to go, for not only Coco but for us. And anyway, if you have any questions about the Dexter, I'm brand spanking new, but if I can't answer it right away, I will reach out to people that I know that would be able to answer it. I've really enjoyed being part of the Dexter community on social media. I've learned so much over the last 2.5 years. And anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I really thoroughly enjoy you being here. And I love giving to the community that watches me. And please, if you aren't already subscribed, I would love you to subscribe and follow along with my channel and all that I do here on our Little Acre Homestead. And we'll see you back on the next one. And if you hit that little notification bell, it will alert you to the next video I upload. And trust me, there will be lots about Coco. And then also, before I end this too, I wanted to kind of talk to you guys really quick. I did a post about this, so go look at there's just a post area where I've written something. I have grandkids that aren't very close in proximity to me, and so I would really love to start reading them books so they know Grandma's face and Grandma's voice, and maybe even some about animals where I could take them out to see Coco and take them out to see my rabbits and my chickens and read to them in the garden so they know what Grandma's about. So those will be in a playlist. If it's not your thing, that's fine. Just ignore them and move on to something of mine that maybe you are interested in. And I do have a playlist of all of the different areas of our homestead that you might find helpful. I hope you all have a great day, and thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next video.